The galaxy laughed. Not just the soldiers, not just the leaders. Entire worlds tuned in to watch the broadcast, floating above Earth's moon. The Zorkai High Admiral stood tall on his command ship. He wore shining armor, his claws resting. On the edge of the platform, behind him, hundreds of alien warships filled the sky shaped like blades, black and cold. 1,000,000 species across the stars watched the speech, and the Admiral smiled with all his teeth. Earth is over. One small planet, no fleets, no colonies, no allies. You are brave but foolish. Our empire numbers in the trillions. You are one world, one race, one mistake. He raised a hand. Behind him, the camera showed Earth glowing below. We give you 1 hour to surrender. After that, we bring the fire. The signal ended. Across the galaxy, people laughed. Betting houses took odds. News networks ran countdowns. Earth. They said it was a joke. Too few, too weak. They were wrong. Inside Earth Command, General Reyna. Moreau didn't laugh. She watched the broadcast with a cold face. Her dark eyes were tired, her uniform wrinkled. But her voice stayed calm. Status on the signal? She asked, confirmed. The young officer replied. All channels received it. It's a message to scare us, to make us feel small. Reyna nodded. Good, she said. Let's remind them what small can do. She walked into a dark room. Beneath the command center, only 3 people were there. One of them wore a jumpsuit with no name. His hands were shaking. He looked like a scientist, not a soldier. Reyna faced him. Is the payload ready? He hesitated. Yes, but, General, this weapon hasn't been tested in combat. It will work, she said, because it has to. Do you believe in Earth? He paused. Then he nodded. Double quotes. Yes, I do. Then launch it. High above, inside the lead Zorkai ship, alarms started to blink. Unidentified object. Launched from Earth's surface, a voice said. The Admiral turned. What object? It's small, sir. Too small to be a missile? Looks ... old, like a cargo ship. No weapons detected. The Admiral chuckled. A decoy let it come. It wasn't a decoy. The object was called Pioneer 12. It had once been a mining vessel, long retired, stripped for parts. Now, it carried one thing only, Project Ashwake, a secret human invention. Not a bomb, not AI, something new, something built from captured alien tech, human desperation, and the will to make it hurt. As it approached the enemy fleet, no one fired at it. Aliens thought it was a joke. Then it stopped moving, and the stars blinked. A blinding white pulse spread from the Pioneer. No explosion. No sound, just light. It flowed like a wave, smooth and alive. Within seconds, the nearest Zorkai warship went dark. Then the next, and the next. Their power died. Their shields melted. Their control systems sparked and screamed, one by one. 11 ships shut down completely, floating dead in space. The 12th ship didn't stop. It exploded. Its fuel lines turned to ash in seconds. Inside the Zorkai command ship, chaos broke loose. What happened? Shouted the Admiral. Is it a virus? A weapon? No known signature. It bypassed everything. Our tech, our shields, nothing. Stopped it. The Admiral stared at the screen, Earth still spinning below. One tiny world. But now, it had teeth. In the darkness of Earth's command room. People started cheering. But General Moreau didn't. She stared at the screen, where Pioneer 12 had burned up from its own energy. That's the first and last one we had, she said. Let the world celebrate. We still have to survive tomorrow. Meanwhile, the galaxy froze. Worlds that had mocked Earth suddenly went quiet. Scientists scrambled for answers. News anchors stopped laughing. The weapon had no name in their language. Only Earth knew what it meant. Ashwake. Burn the sky if you must, just never kneel. Back on the Zorkai ship, the Admiral stood alone. He watched the disabled ships drift. Millions of lives lost or trapped. He turned to his second in command. Send this message, he growled. To the whole empire, let them know. He paused, then whispered, "Earth fights with something we do not understand." 1 hour passed? No. Surrender came from Earth. No call for peace. It's only silence. The kind of silence that makes enemies nervous. The kind that means, you hit us. Now we hit back. Far underground, humans built more weapons. They didn't have thousands of ships, but they had something else. People who refused to give up. And in this war, that was more dangerous than numbers. They sent 4,000 troops. Heavy armor, plasma rifles, drone swarms. The Zorkai expected to wipe out the outpost in 3 hours. What they didn't expect is Lieutenant Harrow. Zorkai War Journal entry. Day 1 Human Outpost Designation. Red Point. Located on asteroid base ZK-1449. Estimated resistance, minimal. This should be a clean operation. Red Point Outpost sat on the edge of space. Just a rocky platform dug into a small asteroid. Only 73 humans were stationed there. Most of them were not even soldiers, just engineers, technicians, scientists. But when the Zorkai dropships landed, the humans didn't run. They armed themselves. They set up traps. They prepared to die standing, and leading them LT. Owen Harrow. The attack began at dawn. Zorkai troops flooded the landing site, pushing forward with plasma fire and sonic grenades. The first human defense line collapsed. Within 20 minutes, half the outpost's power was lost in the blast. Harrow didn't blink. He dragged the wounded to cover, yelled orders, and fired until his rifle ran dry. A piece of shrapnel tore through his shoulder. He tied it up with wire and kept moving by day 3. The aliens had taken most of the outer ring. Zorkai commanders sent in drones to finish the job. Harrow intercepted the control signals and turned the drones against them. They exploded inside the Zorkai's own command tent. By day 6, food had run out. Ammo was down to 12%. Oxygen recyclers were failing, but Harrow stood at the airlock, wounded and coughing, still issuing commands. A young tech, barely 20, said, "To him, sir, why are we still fighting? They'll kill us anyway." Harrow looked at her, calm and tired. "Because if we fall here, Earth becomes one outpost weaker. And if we hold, we show the galaxy that humans don't give up even when we're bleeding and broken." Zorkai War Journal entry. Day 8. Our forces remain confused. Human resistance is disorganized, but relentless. Morale among our troops is dropping. Day 9. The Zorkai finally broke through. They swarmed into the command hall. There they saw Hrobladi, missing his left arm, still standing. They shot him. He fell. Then he got back up. They shot him again. He fell harder. But when a soldier reached for his ID tag, he stabbed him in the neck with a screwdriver. Even half dead, he was still fighting. The Zorkai panicked. They pulled back. One man. No. One arm. And they ran. Transmission from Zorkai Commander to High Council. Request urgent extraction from Zorkai. Red Point, humans are different. They don't fight like other species. They don't stop. Even when logic says they should. By day 11, the Zorkai ships lifted off and fled. Only 19 humans survived. LT Harrow was found lying in the rubble. Doctors said he was minutes from death. He lived. And the first thing he said when he opened his eyes, "Did we hold?" Nodded. And he smiled. Earth Command response to Red Point's victory. Let this message echo through every star system. We are not many. We are not the strongest. But we are here. We are human. And we will never break. In the Zorkai capital, for the first time, silence filled the war chambers. Not because of casualties, not because of losses, but because of fear. They had never seen enemies like this. Enemies who kept fighting after death should have come. They began to whisper a new word. Harrowed. Not as a name, but as a warning. Back on Earth, medals were given. News channels praised the bravery. But Harrow didn't want fame. He stood before the press. In a hospital bed, with one arm missing and metal plates in his chest. They think. Numbers win wars. Let them. We win by something they can't understand. Will. Meanwhile, on the edge of the galaxy, another outpost had gone silent. But this time, Earth didn't panic, because they knew where there is one human alive. The fight isn't over. The flames reached the sky. New Shanghai, Earth's most advanced city, became a graveyard in just 6 hours. Towers fell, satellites burned, families screamed. It was not a battle, it was a message. The Zorkai wanted to break Earth's spirit, so they chose its brightest city and set it on fire. Live. On every channel in the galaxy, the broadcast began with the Zorkai general smiling. This is what happens to defiance. This is what happens when humans forget their place. Camera panned over buildings crumbling, children crying, smoke choking the stars above. Billions watched. Some aliens cheered, others looked away. On Earth no one spoke, but deep beneath the ruins, something ancient stirred. Not a weapon. A project, hidden for years. Only to be used when there was nothing left to lose. Project Ironwill. It had one rule: chooses its own host. Built in secret after the first alien attacks, Ironwill was humanity's most dangerous biosuit. It didn't run on power. It didn't answer to computers. It ran on one thing: only pure human emotion, pain, grief, rage. And it had been asleep. Until now, 12-year-old Rensu was the only survivor in his building. He'd watched his parents die in front of him. Buried in rubble, breathing ash, he waited to die too. But then he heard it. A voice, not from outside, from inside the rock, inside him. You burn. I hear you. The rock cracked. A silver pod opened. Inside it, metal shifted, like liquid, and the voice came again. Your pain is enough. I choose you. Outside, Zorkai soldiers searched the area. One of them spotted the glowing crack in the ground. It's a power leak, he said. Another dead generator. Then he saw something rise from the rubble. Something tall. It looked human. But its body was covered in living metal. Ice. Glowing white. His hands burning with red light. Rensu had become Ironwill. The first, Zorkai fired. The bullet never reached him. It stopped in the air, melted, then dropped. The second, Zorkai screamed and ran. Ironwill moved faster than any. Machine, with one swing, he tore through armor like paper. With one roar, shook the ground. Across the galaxy, new footage spread. Not of the burning city, but of one boy, becoming something unstoppable. Aliens stopped cheering. Earth stopped crying. And new Shanghai, dead as it was, gave birth to something stronger. Ironwill didn't sleep. It moved through the ruins. Hunting, not just to fight, but to protect survivors. Every child, every injured soul, he found them, wrapped them in light, carried them out. The Zorkai tried to bomb the ruins again. Ironwill caught their missiles, threw them back, and when they finally left, Earth declared a new Memorial Day, the day a child became our shield. In the months that followed, stories spread. Children painting Ironwill on walls, while soldiers using his image as a patch. Whispers in space: don't burn human cities. You might wake another one. The Zorkai tried to spin the news. They said Ironwill was a trick, a myth, but their troops knew better. They had seen it, and many had not returned. Earth Command didn't speak about Ironwill publicly, but they started building again. Not just homes, not just shields, but hope. Because if a child could stand up and fire, then humanity still had something no empire could copy, something no fleet could outgun. Well, in the end, New Shanghai was gone. But it left something behind, a symbol, a promise, and a new message to the stars. You can destroy our buildings, but you'll never destroy what lives in our hearts. Back in space, the Zorkai Council met in secret. They spoke in fear. If they all become like that, then it won't matter how many ships we send. Then we'll be facing a species that evolves with pain. They called Earth a death world. But now, they began to call humans something else. The children. A fire, the Zorkai called it a victory. Planet Aegis 9 had fallen in just 2 days. They captured the mining facilities. They raised their black banners. They broadcast the moment live, Zorkai soldiers planting flags, mocking Earth's resistance.
Wow.
This world belongs to the Dominion. Now, their commander said, another step toward Earth's extinction. And for a short while it looked true, but then, strange things started to happen. Day 3, the first report came in. A squad of 5 soldiers vanished. No signs of a fight. Their weapons left on the ground. Cameras, static, scanners. Command said it was desertion. But the other troops began, whispering, something's out there. Day 5, a weapons depot exploded at midnight. No one was near it. Security footage showed shadows, but not people. Zorkai patrols went out in teams of 10. Only 6 returned. They spoke of flickers in the dark. Laughter that wasn't human. Words whispered in old Earth languages they couldn't understand. Day 7. Soldiers started refusing night duty. Something's watching us, they said. Not from the skies. From beneath. The commander ordered full lockdown. But every night more troops vanished. No signs, no blood. Only a message appeared, carved into the base wall. You don't hold what we haven't given. What the Zorkai didn't know is that Earth never abandoned Aegis-9. They just changed the rules before the invasion. Earth had hidden Cyclops units on Aegis 9. Special teams trained not to fight openly, but to break the enemy from the inside. Used shadow tech, hallucinatory beacons, sound traps. But more than that, they used fear, because the Zorkai were built for domination, not paranoia, not doubt, not the slow unraveling of sanity. One Zorkai soldier's final recording. I saw one. Human with no eyes. He stared straight at me in the dark. I fired, he didn't move. Then he vanished. My hands are shaking. I can't stop hearing the voices. They say this isn't our world, they say. We're already dead. By day 12, the base was abandoned. Without a battle, without a final stand. The mighty Zorkai army had left, beaten by whispers, shadows. In fear, when Earth's signal probe arrived later, it found the base untouched. The human flag still folded beneath the command table. It's written on the wall in Zorkai blood. We are not ghosts. We are the darkness you created. Back on Earth, the news didn't even celebrate. The mission was classified, but in quiet. Corners of Earth's command. One word was passed between officers. It worked. The Cyclops leader, known only as Sable, sent a report. It had just one sentence. They held the world. But we held their minds. Across the galaxy, other alien forces watched in silence. They had seen many wars. They had seen defeat. But never like this. Never a planet lost. To fear. Soon a new phrase entered alien languages. Aegized meaning. To lose control of something you thought you'd already won. The Zorkai High Council began to worry. Not about Earth's weapons, but Earth's mindset. They fight even after losing. They turn fear into strategy. They don't need to win every planet, they just need to make us regret it. Meanwhile, on Aegis 9, the Cyclops. Teams stayed hidden. They built tunnels, traps, beacons, because they knew. The Zorkai would come back, and next time, Earth would be ready to haunt them again. Final whisper from Aegis 9. We are the reason shadows move. We are the cold. That makes soldiers sweat. We are the human will. We don't need armies to win. They believed in numbers. That was the Zorkai's first mistake. They had graphs, models, predictive algorithms. They calculated every battle, every planet, every loss, every win. And by all logic, Earth should have fallen 3 weeks ago. But Earth did on the Zorkai warship, Korthan's Claw. General Vex stood before the War Council. Screens flashed around him, hundreds of charts, lines dropping, stats failing. It makes no sense, he growled. We've crushed species. 10 times larger. How are they still fighting? An Elder War strategist tapped his claw on the table. Because numbers don't account for pain, or anger, or loss. Another voice whispered, or will. They all fell silent. Back on Earth, a meeting took place in a small underground bunker. No grand halls, no fanfare, just 9 people, leaders, scientists, soldiers, survivors. They reviewed their own numbers. Earth had lost 21 cities, over 2 billion lives. Most of the defense fleet was gone, but something else had appeared. Volunteers, tens of millions. From every country, every age, every background. They didn't care about odds. They didn't ask for safety. They wanted to fight. In one video that went viral across the galaxy, a farmer from Mars colony stood holding a homemade railgun. "I'm not a soldier, but you burned my sister's city, so I built this. Let's see who runs first." That clip was seen by 4.3 trillion beings across the stars. And for the first time, some of them felt something strange. Respect on a prison. Ship orbiting Saturn. Something even stranger happened. Human prisoners, criminals, exiles, traitors requested to join the war. One of them, a former hacker named Griggs, said, "I've stolen, lied, cheated, but I've never let aliens walk over my planet. Give me a chance to make it right." Earth accepted. And Griggs, he created Ghost Strike Protocol, a virus that took down an entire Zorkai fleet's communication network with one line of code. Meanwhile, in a trench on Europa, young Private Mayu sat alone. "No family left. No city to return to," she wrote. A message in her notebook. "They told me we're outnumbered. 500 to 1. Good. More targets." Her squad found that note after she died holding the line against 2 platoons. They printed it across helmets, walls, drones, and banners. And suddenly, across Earth's forces, the phrase became a chant. "Good. More targets." The Zorkai. Numbers told them Earth was 92% defeated. But they didn't count on the war orphans becoming scouts, the street artists designing new camouflage patterns, the blind woman teaching cybernetic targeting through sound, the children coding viral drones. They didn't count on human rage becoming invention, on sorrow becoming strength. In the Zorkai's own simulation AI, glitch appeared. It tried to recalculate Earth's defeat timeline, but the input failed. The error message read, "Unquantifiable variable, human resistance, data incomplete." The AI froze, and Zorkai scientists stared in silence for the first time. The machine had no answer. Inside Earth's command, General Morrow gave a quiet speech to her officers. "We don't need to match them ship for ship. We don't need to count bodies. They've forgotten something important. We never cared about their math. We fight not because we think we'll win. We fight because they thought we wouldn't." And somewhere on the battlefield, under a broken sky, a human soldier screamed a new war cry. "Let their numbers lie. But we never will." In the Zorkai capital, things began to break. Morale dropped. Desertions rose. Commanders questioned orders. Because the one truth they feared had become clear. Earth's strength could not be measured. No one knew what would happen next. But one thing was certain. Humanity had already changed the war. Not with numbers, not with fleets, but with raw, unstoppable will. They thought the skies were theirs. Zorkai believed they controlled every orbit, every star lane, every space above a human world. They surrounded Earth. They circled the colonies. They thought no human force could break through again. They were wrong, because humanity stopped waiting. And the sky opened. It began at 0300 hours, Galactic Standard. 12 Zorkai-occupied planets across 5 star systems suddenly picked up the same signal. A sound, not words, not code, a heartbeat. Slow, loud, unstoppable. It echoed across their ship's comms, bypassed encryption. It played inside every helmet, every sensor, every fleet broadcast. Boom, dash boom, 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 dash boom. And then the drop pods came from orbit. Earth launched its first full counterstrike, not in warships, not in waves, but in fire. Thousands of armored drop pods screamed down through the sky like comets on fire. Each one held a single soldier. These were no regular troops. These were willfallers, humans trained to fight alone, dropped behind enemy lines with nothing but grit and fury. Each one carried 3 weapons, a survival kit, and a dog tag marked, "You are the storm." On planet Vokter, the Zorkai fleet leader laughed when he saw the first drop pods coming. One-man pods? This is Earth's grand counterattack? He ordered his fighters to shoot them mid-dash air. None were hit. The pods were covered in adaptive plating and magnetic shielding. They moved like guided missiles. When they hit the ground, the Earth split open, and the humans inside did not wait. They rose, firing, shouting. They didn't ask for orders, so they knew why they were there. Take back everything, or die trying. On every occupied world, chaos exploded. Human drop pods smashed through Zorkai bases, bunkers, supply hubs. Whole buildings collapsed under. The impact, they didn't bring tanks. They didn't bring artillery. They brought human fury and steel armor, and it was enough. Private Jana Miro dropped on the frozen moon Citrus. 4. Survived 7 days alone with a broken leg and only 2 clips of ammo. She disabled an enemy sensor station, stole a Zorkai hover tank, and used it to drive into the enemy's main command base and detonate it. Her final transmission, "I've got no legs left, but I can still hit the switch." For Earth, Sergeant Eben Reyes, a former garbage worker from Luna Colony, dropped onto a fuel depot and took out an entire airfield using just grenades and a hacked forklift. The galaxy started calling him the man who burned the sky. The Zorkai couldn't believe it. This wasn't a fleet war. This wasn't tactics. It was like Earth had thrown fire and ghosts from orbit. One admiral said, "They don't drop soldiers, they drop revenge." In space, Earth's command ships remained hidden behind asteroid belts and solar shadows. They didn't need to be seen. The battle wasn't in space. It was down below on the ground, where humans were hardest to kill. Inside Earth's flagship Resolve, General Moreau gave only one order: drop more. By day 4, 12 worlds were in full revolt. Zorkai command posts were destroyed. Weapon stockpiles exploded. Entire enemy units surrendered not because they lost firepower, but because they lost their nerve. One Zorkai commander was recorded saying, "They fall from the sky like demons. They kill Juan and Timor land. They're not fighting to survive. They're fighting because they're already home." And then came the final blow. On planet Vir 6, a massive enemy fortress, protected by orbital guns and shield domes, was hit directly by a special kind of pod. Not a soldier, not a bomb, but iron will. The suit had been rebuilt, stronger, faster, deadlier. It fell from orbit like a meteor, punching through 10 meters of Zorkai armor plating before landing inside the fortress walls. Within minutes, the entire base collapsed. All footage lost. Only a final message remained burned into the ground. "You shouldn't have lit the sky." The galaxy watched in silence. For the first time, 12 enemy-controlled worlds were fighting back all at once. The humans didn't win with ships or fleets. They won by raining down themselves, one by one, alone, burning, unbreakable, in response. The Zorkai War Council pulled back to entire fleets. They left 3 colonies, abandoned for mining worlds, to regroup, to breathe, to stop the bleeding. But it was too late. Earth had risen, and the galaxy finally understood. Humans don't need wings to fly. They only need something to fall for. The Zorkai pulled back. After 12 worlds rebelled. After fire fell from the sky, the mighty empire took its first real step in reverse. Ships retreated. Commanders vanished. Supply lines were cut, but Earth didn't celebrate. They knew this wasn't the end. This was only the eye of the storm. Inside Earth Command, General Moreau stood over a star map. "They'll regroup, double their numbers, come again with something worse." An officer stepped forward. "So, what do we do, ma'am?" Moreau didn't blink. "We stop waiting. We bring the war to them. Across Earth and the colonies, the call went out. All units. All survivors. All ships still flying. The message was simple. They stepped back. Now we step forward." In the shadows of Mars, something massive woke. Project Black Ruka stealth warship, built entirely underground. No one had seen it, not even Earth's own Senate. It ran on pulse gravity. It could vanish from sensors. And its hull was made from reverse-engineered Zorkai alloy. It's not just a ship, said its engineer. It's our ghost. It's our revenge in the dark. The Black Rook launched that night silent fast. It's unstoppable. But Earth's new plan wasn't just ships. They launched Operation Phoenix Arc. Not a military strike, but a human wave. Civilians, scientists, engineers, all moved into the newly freed colonies. They planted flags. They built shelters. They opened combs, even while war burned around them. Humans began rebuilding. The message was clear. You didn't scare us. You only made us start over stronger. In a hidden asteroid belt, Earth activated its final contingency, codename Mirapath, a massive cum-hack program. It slipped into Zorkai transmissions. He didn't jam them, it rewrote them. Suddenly, entire enemy fleets received false orders. Some were told to retreat, others told to fire on allies. Confusion spread like wildfire. The Zorkai battle map turned red with friendly fire. One commander screamed across the coms, "We've lost control of the war." And then came the final blow. A captured Zorkai officer long thought dead escaped Earth prison. He sent a secret signal to his empire. But what he didn't know is that Earth had let him escape. His message, laced with a tracking worm. When it reached the Zorkai home system, Earth saw everything. Their shipyards, their fuel stockpiles, their command hub. General Moreau whispered one word, "Now." A small Earth fleet jumped in, only 5 ships. But not to fight. They carried satellite spheres H, the size of a car. They launched them and jumped out. Those spheres released clouds of mirror dust no particles that spread through the system. Invisible, they stuck to hulls, floated in engines. Waited, the Zorkai laughed. "Is this Earth's grand attack?" they said. Dust. But when they tried to fire their main cannons, nothing worked. When they tried to run scans, everything showed false. One ship exploded, just starting its thrusters. They didn't know it yet, but they were inside Earth's eyes now. And Earth was watching. Back home, Earth Command issued the next message. They stepped back. They blinked. But we never stopped. Because this isn't just the defense anymore. This is payback. Around the galaxy, smaller species began to rise. On the jungle world of Kephara, insectoids flew Earth's banner. On the lava moon of Jaren, lizard kind sent resources to the humans. Even some Zorkai deserters joined Earth's side, the ones who had seen what humans truly were. The galaxy began to shift, not around strength, not around fear, but around hope. The Zorkai leaders panicked. They're uniting the galaxy. We were supposed to conquer them. Now they're the fire we can't put out. They made one final plan, a full system purge, a weapon to end Earth once and for all. It's a kind of weapon that breaks planets. They called it Thornfall, but Earth knew. They'd seen the plans. They were waiting. The war wasn't over. It was just entering its most dangerous phase, because now Earth was ready to do the unthinkable. Strike the Zorkai homeworld. The Zorkai homeworld had never been touched. Not by war, not by rebellion, not by fear. It stood like a throne. In the Dark Jewel, protected by fleets, cannons, and arrogance. For centuries they ruled from it, crushed civilizations, enslaved planets. But now, Earth was coming, and this time it wasn't to ask for peace. General Reyna Moreau stood aboard Earth's flagship Resolute Dawn. Before her, the final fleet was ready. Small compared to the Zorkai's numbers, but it didn't matter. They didn't bring billions. Each ship, each pilot, each soldier had one reason to fight. They took our homes, our cities, our people, and we take back the stars. The plan was simple. No full assault. It's no massive invasion. Just a single spear strike right at the heart. Of the Zorkai Empire, the goal wasn't destruction. It was a message. You're not untouchable anymore. Earth's fleet jumped into the Zorkai system under a cloak of shadow tech. Behind them came Black Rook, Iron Will, and the Mirapath units. They didn't target the cities. They didn't aim at civilians. They went straight for the central spire, the war tower, where all Zorkai commands were sent. Were their leaders? Had watched Earth burn from afar? The battle above the planet lasted 17 minutes. Zorkai ships responded fast. Outnumbered Earth 10-1, but numbers once again meant nothing. The Earth fleet used misdirection. Hacking, cloaked mines, and chaos. One human ship, the Echo Lance, faked its destruction only to reappear behind the enemy flagship and detonate its AI core from inside. Another Red Valor took 48 direct hits and still rammed through the orbital shield gate, just long enough to let the drop teams fall. Iron Will led the charge. He landed in the courtyard of the central spire. Zorkai guards opened fire. He walked through it. With each step, the ground shook. His armor glowed red-hot. His voice echoed through enemy comes. This is for New Shanghai. For Red Point. For every name you tried to erase. Inside the spire, Earth's drop team moved like ghosts, led by Captain Alara Voss, a pilot who lost her wife in the first orbital bombing. She had no medals, just scars. They reached the war. Council chamber. Zorkai leaders waited. They're too shocked to flee. One of them raised his hands. What do you want? Revenge. Alara shook her head. No, we want you to see what we've become. They broadcast the council chamber live to the galaxy. The Zorkai leaders were shown shaking, defeated, silent, and Alara spoke directly. Into the camera, we could burn your world. We could drop fire like you dropped it on us. But we won't, because you need to understand. Humans don't win by destroying. We win by surviving, by rebuilding, and by never becoming like you. The galaxy listened. Billions watched. Billions felt something shift. This wasn't weakness. This was control, discipline, power without cruelty. And the stars changed that day. Back aboard the Resolute Dawn, General Morrow gave the final order. Pull back. We've made our point. Let them remember it forever. No cities were bombed. No children were killed. No worlds were erased. Just a message left carved into the Zorkai spire wall. We are not your victims. We are your warning. In the days that followed, dozens of worlds rose against the Zorkai. The Empire cracked and shattered. All because Earth One planet refused to kneel. And what became of Earth, they rebuilt. Not just with steel, but with unity. No borders. Just one voice, never again. Children in the colonies told stories of Iron Will. Teens wore patches of Willfallers. Even some Zorkai youth began to defect, inspired by humanity's strength. The war had ended. But Earth's legend had just begun. And on a quiet field, under a new sky, a young girl asked her father, "Why didn't we destroy their world too?" He knelt beside her, holding her hand. "Because we already won, child. We just wanted them to remember why."